My name is Robert Beausoleil, and I work as the Director of Business Development and Franchise Operations for our company, via Franchise Consulting, Asia's leading franchise consultants. And we have a great live program for everyone today, which I think you're all going to find very interesting. You know, for 13 years, our team has been helping businesses build franchising systems and prepare for domestic or international expansion. And we also represent many leading international franchises that are looking to enter or expand within the greater Asian region, which our company covers. And today I'm joined by our CEO, Mr. Sean Ngo. If you could say hi, Sean, and also Miss Tu Nok Jin, a senior associate from our legal friends over at Tillicky and Gibbons. So thank you both for joining us today. For everybody's information, our webinar today is going to be divided into three sections. Franchising 101, how to buy a franchise, will be handled by myself, so you're stuck listening to me for a little while. The second part is going to be about successfully selling franchises in the greater Asian area, which is going to be handled by Mr. Sean. And then finally, we'll turn it over to Ms. Tu for some legalities about franchising in Asia. And at the end, we are going to have a Q&A session. So please feel free to enter any questions you have at any time. Just click on the chat box, enter your questions, and we're going to review as many as we can at the very end. So the first section is really about how to buy a franchise. And it's kind of targeting investors or companies who are looking to diversify and also people just looking for new investment opportunities. And so we got a slide presentation so you can kind of follow along as I talk. Next slide, please. So when we're talking about buying a franchise, there's quite a few different elements. And of course, we can't quite talk about everything. So I just picked a few key important ones. We're going to talk a little bit about how to select the right franchise, the top things to do or not do when purchasing a franchise, what really franchise fees are all about, what you can expect, what franchisors are looking for from you as a potential franchisee or investor. We're going to look a little bit about the process of buying a franchise. And finally, we're going to look at some of the top franchises that are available in our region. So just a very short introduction to myself. I have been working in the franchise business for more than 20 years, most of which has been as a franchisee for some of the world's largest franchises, sometimes as a franchisor, and most recently as a franchise consultant. And, you know, really my fields have been the food and beverage industry, retail, or education. So I'm a good person to ask if we're talking about one of those industries. Okay, so let's get into it. First question, and I get asked this all the time, how can I choose the right franchise? And you know, there's thousands of franchises in the US and the world. Now, we don't quite have that many in Asia, but there are still hundreds of different options. And, you know, how can you really pick which one's right for you? And, you know, there is a lot of factors, but I chose just 6, which I think are very key that we're going to go through right now. And the first is to kind of evaluate and know yourself or your company. You know, if your company is already in the education field, or maybe you have 20 plus years of experience in food and beverage or fitness, you know, a lot of times it's good to start with an industry that you're familiar with. Because when you have some synergies, often you and your team can get a head start within that industry instead of starting from scratch in a totally new industry. And of course, we don't want to be competing with ourselves. If you have a successful pizza restaurants, you don't want to maybe consider purchasing a pizza franchise. but you might want to consider purchasing another franchise within the F&B sector. Now, number two is to do some market research in the target territory. And a lot of times people will say, well, I've lived here my whole life. I know this particular city. But actually, don't assume you know, because what you see as a consumer might be quite different as what you see as an investor or what you see in a particular industry that you're looking at as a franchise. So you want to look for gaps in the marketplace, for really unfulfilled needs or unfulfilled wants by consumers. And for that, you really need to dig a little bit deeper. And I'll give you a couple of brief examples. Maybe you look around and you see no burger restaurants, and you think, oh, well, we have a need for burgers. But if you live in a place where they don't like burgers or they don't eat beef, then maybe there's a reason why there's no burger restaurants in your area. On the other hand, maybe you look around and you see there's lots of pizza places, but that can also mean that there's a high demand in your marketplace. So you don't want to necessarily discount looking at pizza restaurants. So it gets a little complicated, and that's why you actually need to take some time and even sometimes consult with or pay people to do a consultation so that you can understand the market a little bit better. Now, point number three, stick within your budget. We talk a lot about total investment when we talk about franchising. Not necessarily about just the fees that you pay to the franchisor, but actually the total financial resources you need to invest in this particular project. And it's quite important that you pay close attention to both what you're capable of and also what the brand requires. Because if you're a medium or a large company, you don't really want to look at a very small investment franchise normally. Because even if you make it work well, it's probably not going to give you the return on investment that you're kind of looking for, in your projects. Now, on the other hand, if you're a single individual or small company, you don't want to waste a lot of time looking at some brand that requires, $5 million or plus for their total investment, because it's simply beyond what, maybe you're capable of. So you want to really be honest. What is my budget? And look for franchises that are available, within that comfortable budget that you've set. Now, number four, look for something with unique attraction. There are really not that many completely unique concepts anymore. I mean, we live in quite a sophisticated world where we've seen and done most things. But on a smaller scale, there's always unique elements to be had. So let's say, you've identified English language education as having gaps in your market. When you evaluate your market, when you look at a potential brand that you're thinking about bringing in, you really have to ask yourself, why will customers come to me instead of my competitors? What is unique about this particular brand that's going to be attractive? And as long as you can answer those questions, then perhaps that brand has potential for you. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe it's better value for money, or maybe it produces better results in children, or maybe the English centers, they can go online, back to center, online as needed, all within the same technology. So there can be just some unique elements that are going to be important to people in your community, and that would be enough. Now, point number five, keep it simple. Franchising isn't about complication. It's actually about simplifying how a company can get started in a new business and make it profitable faster. So, restaurants work, fitness works, English education works. You don't have to look for something that is really obscure or complicated when you're looking at new opportunities. And point number 6, speak with a franchise consultant. Now, this point may seem quite self-serving because I'm a franchise consultant, but there's actually very important reasons to do so. Because, and you can see them on your screen, a franchise consultant will have multiple brands available. So when you talk to a specific franchisor, they only have one option. And so they're going to try to sell you that one option and try to convince you that it's the right one for you and your company. And it may not be. Whereas a consultant, they can ask you questions. Who are you? What do you do? What do you like to do? What's your company do right now? What's your experience? And when they have multiple brands to offer, they can point you in the right direction on things that seem suitable for your company. The second point is that they do or should pre-qualify brands for the market. So if you ever look at, if you've been to our website at vfranchiseconsulting.com, you'll see maybe 30 brands at any one time. And each of those brands we've selected because our team feels like it will be successful in Asia. As I said, there's thousands of brands out there, but a lot of them are simply not suitable for the markets, or the franchisor is not ready to support international franchising. So there is a lot of homework that we do to make sure we represent the right brands. And that homework benefits you as an investor from making mistakes. And the last thing is the ability to compare and help you look at different options. And like I said, when we represent multiple brands, we can say, well, if you go this way, this is what you can expect. If you do this, this is what you can expect. So that gives you some further additional advantages. So that's how to select the right franchise in just a few minutes. So top 10 lists. Everybody likes top 10 lists. It was really difficult for me to get a single 10 points to discuss. I kept wanting to put in 20 or 25, but here's the 10 that I chose. Number 1, do make some basic decisions and shop around. So as we discussed a few minutes ago, decide what's your investment comfort level, decide what kind of industries you're looking for, have a general look around your market to see if you can identify some gaps. Some of those basic decisions can really help narrow your search and help it to be more successful and not frustrate you as you look for the right opportunity. And shop around. So if you're looking for a fitness brand, don't just settle on the first one that you see. You want to look a little bit at what the options are in the industry and then make an educated decision. Then research the opportunity and ask lots of questions. It's funny that I arrange a lot of calls between maybe the CEO of a brand, of the franchisor, and a potential franchisee. We all get on the call and they don't ask any questions. So when you really think about it, when you have that opportunity, you want to be well prepared. Make a list of all the questions you can think about that you really want to ask us as your franchise consultant, or the brand, as representing the brand. They're the ones that you're considering a partnership with. So really ask as many questions as you want. This is the time before you make any final decision. And you do want to research the opportunity. Of course, we can't trust everything that's on the internet these days, but there is a lot of information. You can check out their website, their Facebook pages. You can ask around consultants. And at a later stage, once you've signed an LOI, they usually are more than happy to put you in touch with existing franchisees that you can speak with, which we'll talk a little bit more in a second. Number 3, consult with your advisors. Information is power, and it really is true. Trying to make a big decision just on your own isn't always the best thing to do. So even if it is your final decision, talk to other people. Of course, you can speak with us, but you can also speak with your lawyer, your accountant. You might want to speak with other people at your company. This is what I'm considering or thinking about doing. What do you think? What do you think about McDonald's, or what do you think about Little Caesars, or what do you think about this? It really is a good thing to get some more information and leverage off people that you know. Number 4, do examine the documents completely. So you may have spoken to us, you may have spoken to the brand, but sometimes talk is cheap. So when you finally get, let's say, a letter of intent, when you finally get the actual franchise agreement, make sure you take the time to read it carefully so that you don't have any misconceptions about what's going to happen or what's expected, and be disappointed later. So, make sure anything that you get, you do read very carefully. And point number 5, see the operations, speak with existing franchisees. So you don't want to do this for every brand that you're just looking at, but once you find and have identified the brand that you're interested in, and you've started the negotiations, it seems to match well what your company wants, then take a close look at it. Usually after an LOI is signed, a lot of people will travel, if it's possible to travel, and go see the actual restaurants or the schools or the fitness centers, the retail shops in a nearby country, and have a close look, talk to the people there, the existing franchisees, and really find out to make sure that it's matching your expectations. Now, 5 don'ts. So don't hurry, but don't procrastinate. So those might seem opposite, but you don't want to hurry through any agreement, especially when it's a long-term one like a franchise agreement. But you also, so that you don't miss steps, but you also don't want to procrastinate, because if I've identified a gap in my market here in Ho Chi Minh City, I say, okay, listen, we need a great budget fitness center because there aren't any. I'm probably not the only one in a city of 10 million people who also has identified that gap. And while I'm, taking too much time, maybe another company snags the opportunity, and pretty soon I look outside and there is a budget fitness center that somebody else has done, and they're busy, and I've missed out. So there are steps, and you don't want to miss any, but you also want to keep it moving step by step towards your goal. Now, point number 7, don't believe everything people say, check with the facts. So don't just rely on conversations or general information. A lot of things are available, freely available. You can check franchise disclosure documents, actually have detailed information for brands that have those. And again, your consultants and other people that you can check with. As many facts as you can collect about the particular opportunity, the better decision that you can make. Number 8, don't do business just out of love, but be practical. And this is interesting because I may absolutely love Thai food, but that doesn't mean that I should open a Thai restaurant. You really want to be practical. This is a business decision. For sure, it's something that you want to do. If I don't want to be involved in restaurants, then I shouldn't look. But other than just what I'm comfortable doing or feel interested in, you really want to be practical in the decisions. I know a lot of people who, they really love certain industry, but actually they invest somewhere else because that's the better decision for their market. That's where the opportunities are. So be practical. Number 9, don't cannibalize your existing businesses. We talked a little bit before about having synergies. If you run education businesses, your staff can help you with a new education business. Maybe your HR, your training team, your accountants, they all understand that particular industry. So staying with within the industry is okay. But if you had English education centers, unless you plan on converting them to wings, for example, one of our English brands, you don't really want to consider another English education brand because you may just be competing with yourself. It might be better for you to look at Mathnasium, still in the education field, but in a different industry with a different target. And lastly, number 10, don't overextend yourself. And that's also important. We mentioned that every particular investment opportunity has sort of a budget required. And that budget is normally financial, but it can also be time and other resources of your company. So you want to make sure that you can handle the new opportunity. So at the beginning, look at the finances. As you've made the decision to go forward with the brand, make sure you look at the other resources like your team and your ability of your current operations to handle the new opportunity so that once it's finalized, you're ready to move. A very important slide for everybody. Everybody also always talks about franchise fees. And so I wanted to spend just a couple of minutes talking about what franchise fees are. Usually there are 5 different types of franchise fees. The first one being a franchise fee or a master franchise fee, a territory fee. And that fee is usually a one-time payment, and it is to purchase the rights for that brand for a specific area. And normally that area gives you exclusive rights to that brand for that area. So for example, when we sell, Texas chicken to Vietnam, there's one company who has purchased the exclusive rights for Texas chicken in Vietnam, and they paid a fee to do so. So that's a territory fee. And again, you only pay it one time normally. Now, number 2 is a unit fee. Now, some brands have it, some brands don't. But a unit fee basically means each time you open a new unit, which could be a restaurant, could be an English center, could be a fitness center, could be a retail shop. Whenever you open one of those units, you would be required to pay that unit fee. And usually the unit fee is basically covering the franchisor support for that unit. So whenever you do a new unit, usually the franchisor has some work that they have to do, updating the websites, helping you with the brand launch, helping you with the design and construction, helping training that new team to operate that particular location. And that's why some brands have a unit fee. If there's no unit fee, usually it's a type of franchise that doesn't require a lot of support when you open a new unit. If there is a unit fee, then normally you can expect quite a bit of support from the franchisor when you open a new unit. Number 3 is the royalty fees. Now, royalty fees are almost always based on actual gross sales, not on net profit. And they're usually a percentage. So it might be 5% of your gross sales. Sometimes it is a fixed amount. When it's a fixed amount, that means the franchisor doesn't have to spend so much time watching your sales and different things. So a lot of franchisors will cap it at a certain fixed amount. So they may be $500 per month per outlet that you have. But normally, in almost all cases, there is a royalty fee of some sort. And those fees are ongoing. They don't stop, and they're paid every month usually. Now, number 4 is a marketing fee. Some brands, again, have marketing fees, some do not. Normally, if the brand has a big global presence, they have extensively visited websites. They do a lot of other social media marketing for their brand globally or in a specific region. They have a marketing team to support you. Maybe they do your menu design. They do your help you with your in-store POSM materials, your materials in the store, and they maintain quite a good video or image library for you to use in your own local marketing. So sometimes when they have a lot of resources like that, they will charge a marketing fee. And that's usually paid along with the royalty fees. And lastly, there isn't a lot of this, but there are sometimes miscellaneous fees. They're usually not very big, but you might want to ask if there is any miscellaneous fees, and that can sometimes be training fees or travel fees, just little things that might influence the financial planning that you're doing when you're looking at a particular opportunity. Now, number 6 is not a fee. But I wanted to include it along with this particular slide, products that must be sourced from the franchisor. So this is one question that you should always ask, what do I have to buy from you? And some brands don't require you to buy anything from them. Some just a few key items that is part of their intellectual property that really defines who they are. And some have quite an extensive list of things that you have to buy from them. And that type of information does impact, any planning that you're doing ahead. It also impacts any sourcing that you need to do locally. So it's a very good thing to ask those types of questions near the beginning and find out what you need to source from the franchisor. Okay. So you've made some decisions. Now it's time to actually go through the process. So what does the process of buying a franchise look like? Well, it kind of starts with you evaluating your options and all the things that we've talked about up till this point, and you finally made your choice. Okay, I want to bring Wayne's Coffee to my local market. Then what's going to happen next is we're going to give you a non-disclosure agreement and an application form. Now, those aren't commitments. Don't be, afraid of signing those and filling out those 2 forms. Basically, the non-disclosure means that we can share sensitive information with you, and you're not going to talk about it to everyone. And the application form basically gives us a better idea who you or who your company is. And that's important for the franchisor because this isn't a one-way street. This isn't just you deciding that you want Wayne's Coffee. This is Wayne's Coffee deciding that they want you as a partner. And that's a key thing that a lot of people don't understand. I've had lots of clients that say, hey, I have the money, take it. I want this brand. And the brand's like, no, sorry. No, you're not the type of person or not the investor that we're looking for. So we want to, do that. We want to discuss, answer all the questions, make sure everything is clear. We want to move to negotiating and then signing a letter of intent or a memorandum of understanding, which basically outlines all the key terms and conditions that we've agreed to. At that point, you usually have to pay a deposit. And that's kind of the signal that to everybody that we've agreed on the main terms. We plan on moving this project ahead. And that's when everybody can start spending money to make it work. So that due diligence period that follows, maybe you schedule a trip to go see the franchisor or go see the outlets and locations. Maybe they will register their franchise brand and their logo and stuff in your local market. They, of course, have to prepare the legal agreements at that point. And then we move to actually the signing of the legal agreement. And once that's done and you pay that territory fee or that franchise fee, that's when the actual project begins. And usually that process, people ask me all the time, how long does that process take? Normally, it depends on the investor. Usually, it is the investor that slows down the project. but it definitely takes a couple of months at minimum, even if everybody's moving quickly. And it can take 4 or 5 months for that complete timeline to be completed. So what franchisors are looking for? They kind of require you to have a business management experience, a knowledge of your local market. You have to be willing to follow brand standards. You have to realize that even though you're an entrepreneur, you have a lot of control in your local market, but there are certain things that are going to be flexible, and there are certain things that are not going to be flexible. It would be good if you have an understanding of the industry, access to real estate, and some financial stability. The blue things are nice, but not necessary. But it's nice if you have some significant industry experience, that you have that synergy related operations, that you're already doing marketing, or you understand how to reach the consumers in your territory, and sometimes other specific technical skills for that particular industry. So again, like I said, it's not just you deciding if that brand is right for you, it's them deciding if your company is right for them. So these are some of the things that they look for. Okay, so we're in the last part of my section, which is really to look at some existing opportunities in our market. As I mentioned before, not every brand is suitable for Asia. And the industries that we find normally work very well around the region as a franchise is the food and beverage industry, the education industry, the retail or services industry, and also the fitness industry. Next. So let's look at some of the options. So we'll start with food and beverage because it's a very popular thing that everybody likes to talk about. Little Caesars Pizza. So Little Caesars is the third largest pizza chain in the entire world, and they actually lead the pizza carryout business. And they are the best value leaders in any marketplace that they go to. And they know their business, more than 27 countries, thousands of locations, and it's a great brand for the right investor. And I think especially particular in price sensitive markets in Asia, in the US, they're famous for their $5 large pizza, 100,000 VND in Vietnam. It's very inexpensive, so that high value is particularly appealing. So it's a great brand. Please speak with us if you'd like more information. They're around the world in a lot of places, but they just recently opened Asia expansion. And so there are still countries that are available here in our region. Wayne's Coffee. So Wayne's is a newer client of ours. And, everybody the cafe industry is very popular. And so we always get requests or interest in, coffee and cafes. But one of the things that I know from being a CEO of a famous coffee chain to being involved in coffee industry quite a bit is you don't want to compete with Starbucks. That's a very difficult thing to do. So we chose to represent Wayne's Coffee, and we did so because it is very European style. So it's not that American coffee chain. It doesn't compete with someone like Starbucks. It goes on its own direction. So the colors, the design, the feeling, the atmosphere, the menu is very European style, and it is very attractive to a lot of consumers. It does extremely well in Vietnam. They're here already, so it's already proven in the Asian market. But there are a lot of countries that they're still looking at entering. So it's a good opportunity. Yola. Now, Yola is not a very old brand, but actually the company has 10 or 15 years in the ice cream industry experience. And they were looking at gaps around the world in the dessert market. And so they spent several years of R&D to come up with a full flavored, great tasting desserts at significantly reduced calories and fat content. So they have no sugar added in any of their products. And I don't know if you can see very well in the slides, but every time I see the desserts that they do, it makes me hungry because they look so good and they taste great. Not a huge investment because they can do a lot of their business with small kiosks in the malls and in very small shops. So it's a great brand out of Spain. And in just 2 years of franchising, they've already entered 6 countries. They've sold 2 more countries. So this is something that you really need to act quickly if you're interested in getting this brand, because very soon all the countries are going to be sold already. So that's Yola. Mango Tree. Now, Mango Tree, if you're in Asia, you've probably heard of this brand already. They're in many countries around the region, 12 countries. They've got a lot of locations, and they are an award-winning Thai food brand. So they're in the upscale casual business. And the nice thing, not only do they have great Thai food, which is one of my favorite, but the nice thing about this brand is they have several tiers. And so even in a big city, you might only open one Mango Tree, which is your kind of fancy, not fine dining, but upscale casuals, first dates, anniversaries, special business lunches, those types of special events. But then they have the Mango Tree cafes, Mango Tree bistros, grab and go, these different levels or tiers, they call them, which for the more casual dining in your local area that you would go every day or every week. So you can kind of capture the Thai food industry completely. You can dominate the Thai food in your particular area and capture most of the business. So that's Mango Tree. It's a great brand. And there is still some opportunities in countries and cities where they're not already have restaurants. From the same company based out of Bangkok is CCA Restaurants. And again, you've probably heard of CCA before. They are actually the company who originally brought Cantonese hot pot to Thailand. Now, if you've ever visited Thailand, you see hot pot all around. Well, this company is the originators. And so they have a great Cantonese style hot pot menu that also has a lot of Thai influence. So they've successfully merged them together to have that Thai suki sauce, the tom yum soup base, the different things that we all love about Thailand in a very fresh food environment. Great products, great brand, 63-year history, proven in many countries in Asia already. If you're interested, it's a great opportunity. So leaving F&B, let's go a little bit into the retail. Ace International is one of the largest retailers in the world. They are the largest home improvement franchise, 70 plus countries, more than 5,500 stores. They're one of the top 100 recognized brands in the world. And in the Asian market, with that middle class developing larger and larger every single year, there are a lot of do-it-yourselfers. There are a lot of people with slightly bigger apartments and homes. And basically, Ace has everything you need for the home. And they're quite flexible in the products that they allow inside. And they have a great sourcing team based in Asia for Asia. So you get a lot of great support from them. And there's still a lot of opportunities in our markets for Ace Home Centers. IWG. Now, you may not recognize IWG. You may know them as Regis, but they actually have several brands. They are the world's leader in workspace and co-working space management. They're in 110 countries. I could believe that. 3,100 locations. And every year we see the demand for co-working space continuing to rise as companies, get rid of that expensive office that they've been paying for. and they actually let their team, work combination of home or completely at a co-working space like Regis. So they have different brands all in co-working space, but at different tiers. So they have, like a luxury one might be quite premium, but small for companies who want that type of space, down to a very common and inexpensive workspace. So great opportunity. It's easy to run. They do a lot of the work, and they have technology that does the rest of the work. So great opportunity in retail or retail services. So leaving retail, the last section is on education. So Bricks for Kids is the world's largest supplier of STEM-based education. So it's kind of unique in its field in that it's teaching kids a lot of different life skills and STEM skills. It's not an English center, it's not a math center. So even if you have a lot of those in your area, this is a fun center, but it also is very educational for your child's and childhood development. It's also very inexpensive to get involved in it because a lot of what they do is using these mobile units to go out to a school to offer a class at a camp or a community center, or any other place where there happens to be space. So it's not just about having Legos in a retail shop where people are coming to you. They do birthday parties, they do other special events where they're actually going out to the marketplace, which allows you to do a lot more business with less centers. So that's why it's very inexpensive for smaller or medium-sized investment companies. Next. Mathnasium. I say this a lot, but world leaders in math education. They've been around for more than 40 years. You've probably heard of them before. They have more than 1,000 centers. And territories are still available. They do really well in Asia. Again, there are several countries like Vietnam that has Mathnasium already. And they just keep opening centers because they're so busy that they can't open them fast enough. So highly profitable, great program to help kids with their math, to improve or even excel in mathematics, which in our world that's now filled with technology, math is the foundation for so many things. And I think every generation needs even better math skills than the one before. And Mathnasium can really help kids, keep up to those standards. Next. Now, Wings. Now, there's a lot of English brands out in the industry, and you probably can name several of them, off the top of your head. We chose Wings because Wings is a very unique program that uses a lot of technology in the classroom. It's really for ages 3 to 5. They do have an additional program called eLift that goes from 6 all the way up to 16, using the same technology. And it's quite unique in the fact that every student in the classroom has a tablet. And so every classroom, every student, you have 100% participation. So what they do, and they can send it up to the screen where the teacher's screen on the wall, and the teacher can do the same back down to the students. So it keeps those young kids engaged, it keeps them interested, and it really maximizes, like I said, participation. So it's a great program. And one of the nice things about it is it's designed for in-school, in centers, but it can move to online and then back, all within the same technology. You don't have to try to teach classes by Zoom. You don't have to figure out how you're going to keep your students during a lockdown. With Wings, seamless. Study at home today. Next week, you're back in the classroom because things have opened. No problem. So last industry, sorry, I thought I forgot fitness for a second. So fitness, we have a couple of interesting fitness options. GoFit is being the first one. They are from the fitness experts at Evolution Wellness. Evolution Wellness has 5 or 6 different fitness brands in 6 different countries. And GoFit is the one that they really are promoting because it's a very high use of technology, which reduces your operating expenses through less staff and other expenses that are reduced. And it is really competing in the high value, low price fitness category, which means that what you're giving the consumers has a lot of value, nice equipment, nice facilities, great programs at a very low price. And so particularly for price sensitive markets in developing countries, especially around Asia, this is a very good option for a gym and will compete very well, even if there are a lot of fitness centers in your market. You should talk to us about GoFit. Next. This is from the same company who really knows the fitness industry so well, but a totally different product. So Fire Fitness is your premium. This is your top of the line sort of fitness program. They do in boutique sized centers. So you can actually put a Fire Fitness Center in a very small location, which opens up a lot of different real estate options. So this is the type of thing that you would put in the downtown cores, perhaps, where a traditional fitness center just won't fit because the price of the real estate is too high, but is where business people are. They like to go in the morning or at lunchtime or after work. So it opens up a lot of unique opportunities. So they have these classrooms, if you like, or centers with all kinds of different group activity programs that would be scheduled, where you actually have trainers going in to teach the classes. And it really competes at a totally different market that is virtually untouched in our region. So another good option in the fitness center. Next. So that's it for my section. I hope that it was interesting for you, that you learned a little bit about buying a franchise, and also a little bit about what franchises are available and suitable for our region here in Asia. If you want to contact us, there's our website on your screen right now. Please feel free to email me at robert@vfranchiseconsulting.com with any questions or to talk about any of the brand opportunities that I presented.